The world of VR games is a very competitive market. There are tons of games of tons of genres on both the Steam and the Quest store. Some being better than others, some being more expensive, some being more polished. There is a lot of competition in the VR game market. What people don't bring up enough are the games that people completely forget about. Whether the servers got turned off, the servers are completely dead, no more updates, no more actually good content on the game anymore. There are lots of reasons to not talk about a VR game. And that is what this video is going to focus on. Me and a bunch of creators have teamed up to talk about games that really do deserve a second chance. And I am here to start us off by talking about one of my favorite VR games of all time that didn't deserve the fate it got. And that is Solaris Offworld Combat. Solaris? I don't fucking know. Solaris Offworld Combat was a space PvP game taking place in the future with futuristic weapons and characters and environments. Players had to traverse the arena, pick up different weapons, and fight the other team to gain control over specific points. It's not the most unique concept, but it's the way it was presented. Solaris had a decently unique art style, at least for a VR game, and the gameplay loop was genuinely fun. However, even from launch, the player base wasn't that big, and that was mainly because of the release of Population 1. I myself didn't buy a Pop 1 at launch. I picked Solaris Offworld Combat. The thing that made Solaris Offworld Combat stand out from VR games today is the community mattered to the developers. The developers would see the feedback on the game and change different things depending on what the community said. But no matter how fun the game is, and no matter how unique the art style, you cannot play this game anymore. Solaris Offworld Combat was completely wiped from the store. Even though I love Solaris and it makes me extremely sad that I can't play the game anymore, I really think that another company should be handed the Solaris IP and give it another chance. It was genuinely one of the most unique games on the Meta store, and it makes me incredibly sad that this is how it had to go out.
Hello everybody, it's me,
Wait a minute. This isn't my channel.
Today we're going to be talking about a really bad game, Gambit. But this game shouldn't be bad. Gambit was developed by XR Games, the same people you know who made Zero Caliber and that other really random game that nobody remembers in 2016. Gambit had this vibe of Payday Crew meets Hotline Miami meets game show. That's sort of the vibe. And this vibe should work. This is an amazing aesthetic for a shooter, especially considering the game is a co-op shooter. And it even has a solo campaign, a co-op campaign, and a full PvP mode, plus skins and progression. So what went wrong? Well, first off, the game on launch had some really bad bugs. Stuff like spawning through walls or guns glitching out of the game, just shit like that. That just basically made the game unplayable or just not enjoyable to play at all. Plus, the game didn't really have like anybody playing it on launch. I remember being there on launch and only being able to find one single co-op lobby. I literally have never played the PvP or co-op of this game just because no one's ever on it. Even on launch, this game was just immediately dead when it comes to multiplayer. I genuinely could not find a game. To this day, I've never played a PvP match or even a co-op lobby. Only viable way you could play co-op right now is to play with your friends who also own the game, but chances are your friend has never heard of this game. And this is crazy, coming from a pretty decently big studio, somebody who's made Zero Caliber, which is probably one of the biggest VR games that we have ever had. Well, if the game had game-breaking bugs, did they ever try and fix it? Not really. The game is still really cooked. The game's barely gotten any updates. In fact, if you were to go onto the XR Games website and try and check the Gambit updates, it literally only just shows you Zero Caliber updates. In fact, X-Real Games just have basically completely forgot this game exists. They don't post about it. When you do the press kit, it literally takes you to the Zero Caliber press kit, even though you're on the Gambit side. And just in general, there's only like 2 main artworks for the game that I was able to download characters off of. It's just, they completely swept this game under the rug. Now, is the gameplay any good besides the game-breaking bugs? Well, it should be, but it really isn't. The gunplay feels really bad, and this really sucks because the gameplay loop is actually pretty fun, but Gambit is just so underbaked. You have an amazing cast of characters, you have a great gameplay loop, and an awesome aesthetic. I would kill for XR Games to try and remake Gambit with the Zero Caliber 2 mechanics and genuinely focus on making the game good. I just hate how underbaked it is. There's a whole lot of potential here, and if XR Games decides to revisit it, I will be stoked because this game deserves love. It deserves a good studio. If you're not going to work on it, XR Games, give it to another studio. But that's just my take on Gambit. I think it deserves either a better studio or for them to revisit it and maybe upgrade it to the Quest 3 along with some fixes. Anyways, I'm going to go back to my own channel now. Goodbye.
Let me paint you a little picture here. You just got your PSVR 1. You can't wait to finally get into all those games, you know, Super Hot VR, Job Simulator, Firewall, Beat Saber, Resident Evil 7. There are a lot of things that you probably want to do when you get this, but you notice something. See, in a lot of PSVR 1s, a certain game was bundled in. A game called Blood and Truth.
Is that it?
I think I broke a window.
Hi, I'm Empire Enemy, and I kinda like VR. Blood and Truth was the first ever VR game I ever decided to record on my YouTube channel. And yeah, it was with my PSVR 1, and you can probably tell because of the stupid fisheye lens sort of thing that was going on there. I don't know why they did that for the first PSVR 1, but, you know, it existed. That video was recorded on the demo. And right after I recorded that video, I went and bought the full game. Physically, every second of that game, I loved it. I replayed that game as long as I had my PSVR 1. The studio shut down, and they're not porting it to PSVR 2 or PC or anything. Sony just refuses for no reason. Why? I don't know, but I guess they doubled down by shutting down that studio, right? All I ask is that you guys do not forget about this game. If you have a PSVR 1 still, and you're still interested, I highly recommend it. It is easily one of the best games you'll get on that headset right there. So I guess that's all for me. And PlayStation, if you're watching this, go fuck yourselves.
You guys remember Audica, right? Like, it was supposed to be the Beat Saber killer. It got released by Harmonix Studios. It's like the same guys that did Rock Band. And at the time, they seemed like they had everything they needed to do it too. Like, there was major hype behind the game. The trailer was friggin' magnificent. They give you guns, they give you an emote button. They gave you major label music at a time when Beat Saber was pretty much still all OST. And for whatever reason, the game just flopped entirely. People complained that it was too expensive. They said they didn't like the genres of music that were provided in it. They didn't have a custom song community or even the ability for custom songs, and frankly, everyone already had a copy of Beat Saber. But man, I mean, it really was a great game. I felt like it was definitely the most difficult and challenging game, at least at the time, in the rhythm game genre, which may have contributed to the downfall as well. I guess people don't like losing a whole lot. But man, it just didn't deserve the fate it did. Like, to this day, it's still available right now for the Quest, and it still has less than 700 total reviews. Like, people never even gave it a chance. So yeah, for me, Audica's gonna go down in the annals of VR history as like the one that probably should have made it that just didn't. So here is to the great game that wasn't.
The date was December 1st, 2021, aka my 17th birthday. Hey. My mom had come in clutch that day with one of the best birthday presents I had ever received, an Oculus Quest 2.
Hi, I'm Red Naz, by the way. This is a flashback, and I just got my first VR headset. Yeah!
It was perfect, man. I had talked about wanting a VR headset for almost a year at that point, and I had only played it at my friends' houses back then, but the experiences that I had on that thing, man, Boneworks, Blade and Sorcery, super hot. I just couldn't wait to break that thing in and play all those games and more on my own, but my excitement quickly turned to fear as I opened the Quest App Store for the first time and I realized, yeah, VR games cost money, and I was very, very broke at the time. So for a while, I was forced to deal with the shovelware free-to-play titles such as VR Chat, Rec Room, and this other little game that I'd never heard of before called Echo Arena. This is where the story gets good. Echo Arena kept me fed during my broke boy VR days, okay? If you never played it before, there were two teams flying around in zero gravity, right? And there was a disc floating in the middle of the arena, and you had to grab that disc and get it through the other team's goalposts by any means necessary. Simple concept, right? Seems easy enough? No! You control yourself with these repulsor jets in your little Iron Man suit that you fly around in, and you go in the opposite direction of wherever you're pointing, and it takes a little bit to get used to, but once you get into it, you're into it. This game makes you feel like Echo VR. You can even punch people on the other team in the face in order to stun lock them. Who doesn't like a little bit of physical assault every now and then? It was a simple concept, but that's what made the gameplay loop so interesting and addicting. It was like playing an actual sport, bro. Things like coming up with plays to run with your team before the round started and constantly practicing for hours on end to try to get better and better at the game. The skill ceiling was so unbelievably high. That's what made it fun. That's what made it addicting. That was the gameplay loop. Oh my god, what's this? A competitive multiplayer VR game with unique gameplay that's very easy to get into but incredibly difficult to master? A game that seems tailor-made for esports and a huge, thriving, loyal player base that's willing to support it through and through? Has Jesus Christ himself blessed the VR community with this gift from heaven? You can probably see where I'm going with this. After almost 6 years of zero-G competitive action, Ready at Dawn will cease operations of Echo VR on August 1st, 2023. The time has come for the studio to focus on new projects, which we look forward to sharing in the future. Or they could do that. Or they, yeah, you know, that works too. So the biggest question on your mind right now is probably what the hell happened. And while I couldn't find a concrete answer from anybody at Meadow or Ready at Dawn, anybody who knows how video games work can probably put this together on their own. Meta probably got tired of paying to keep the servers up, and it was a free-to-play game, so they also probably couldn't figure out a good enough way to monetize it. And it doesn't matter how fat the player base is or how good the game is, from a business standpoint, I guess it just didn't make sense for them to keep it up. But honestly, man, it was just sad to see it go. Such a fantastic, unique game with so much potential that did a great job being a competitive multiplayer sports game, which for some reason this medium seems to lack a lot. I can only hope that one day a VR game will come out that can hold a candle to, or maybe even live up to, and fly past the potential that Echo Arena had. But regardless of that, if any of the games talked about today had any sliver of a chance at a revival, I'd put my vote in for Echo Arena. Because if you ask me, I don't think there's any better example of a VR game that deserves a second chance. That was hard as fuck. This is Red Naz signing off. Shout out Gloopy for letting me speak my piece. Thanks for listening.
Hey everyone, Amazing Warrior here from the Warrior Station. I'm talking about Robo Recall. Now, Robo Recall launched in 2017, and it was an instant hit. It had over-the-top gunplay, crazy physics, and a sense of humor that made it one of the better VR experiences of its time. But despite all that, Epic Games never followed up with a sequel or spin-off. And honestly, in my opinion, that was a huge missed opportunity. So, what made Robo Recall stand out? Well, for starters, it wasn't just another VR shooter. It was a game that fully embraced the possibilities of virtual reality at the time. You weren't just shooting robots, you were grabbing them, ripping them apart, using their own weapons against them, and dodging bullets like you were straight out of the Matrix. This arcadey style of gameplay kept things fast and rewarding, pushing players to get creative with their kills. And on top of all that, was a progression system that allowed you to upgrade your guns however you wished, making them a powerhouse to be reckoned with. But as great as Robo Recall was, it also felt like it was just the beginning of something bigger. For one, the world and story could have gotten so much further in depth. For starters, the Rogue AI storyline could have had significantly more exploration, alongside plenty of other side plots and side characters that could have expanded the world to a level that brought a lot more immersion to it, making it feel a lot more real. And then there's the gameplay. A sequel could have expanded movement. Just imagine having full locomotion instead of just having teleporting, leaving teleporting for like when you need to get out of a pinch. Melee combat could have been expanded to a significant degree, maybe even having like an energy sword or something. Imagine that, guys. And with the advancements in VR in the past 8 years since the game's initial launch, a sequel could have introduced so many more immersive mechanics, such as a bigger world and levels, better hand tracking, or even a multiplayer co-op mode, where you and your friends have to take on waves of rogue robots. That could have been an amazing addition. So why didn't we ever get a sequel? Simplest answer resides in the fact that Epic Games has been prioritizing Fortnite and building Unreal Engine 5, making those massive advancements in technology and developing one of the biggest video games in the world. It's unlikely that they'll revisit Robo Recall, but that doesn't mean that another developer can't make a spiritual successor. In fact, plenty of VR games have borrowed elements from it, but nothing has fully captured the magic of that original experience. At the end of the day, Robo Recall was an absolute blast. It had all the ingredients of an even bigger and better sequel. But for now, all we can do is imagine what could have been.
Subject 178, come forward now.
Okay, don't kill me, please. If this is about the VR avatar, I won't do that again. I promise, okay? I promise you.
I don't care about that. Introduce yourself and tell us your top VR games that deserve better.
Okay. Hi, I'm Get Looked, and so the game I want to choose is a game called Jetland.
Island, you mean?
What?
You mean Jet Island?
Oh yeah. I'm such a plonker. Yeah, Jetland, that's what it is. Yeah.
For fuck's sakes, how long is this gonna bloody take?
Jet Island is a VR open world action game focused on high speed movement and exploration. Players using grapple hooks and jet boosters to fly around this massive floating island, performing aerial tricks, battling out giant robots. Sounds like a good game, don't you think? With a video on my right, left, the gameplay is totally me, flying through the air, grappling around, bombing through the air like Iron Man. And let me tell you something cool. It was only made by one person, Master Indie. Master Indie worked on the game as a solo developer and spent around 4 years developing it before its release in September 2018. And I gotta say, it's very impressive. They made 4 years of hard work into one of my best games to have fun and fly around. The game was only like 6 hours long, but honestly, it took me like 6 hours to realise there was a campaign, so yeah. I know, it's funny, innit?
No, you idiot, I was just laughing at this Twitter post.
You can collect different special abilities and powers to get you through the missions as the missions get harder, like upgrading your boosts and grapple, armor, weapons, and basically everything. until you become an absolute unit towards the end. There's nothing really else to say about this game, but it's just really entertaining, and you should definitely give it a go. And this developer really needs support.
What do you mean that's all you've got to say?
Look, I'm doing them a favour. I'm not spoiling the game for them. Right, look, why don't you go and play the game and see how fun it is, rather than just sitting there and doing shit all? I'm sorry.
Subject 179, step forward now.
I told you guys! I'll pay the debt back when I can! I just need a few more weeks!
This isn't why you're here, Subject 179. We need you to introduce yourself and tell us your top VR games that deserve better.
Oh crap. I don't even know. I have a mod that turns a game into a VR game. Is that good enough?
Eliminate the subject.
Oh shit. Hello everybody, my name is Crash Dude. This is my channel right here, and this is my top VR game that deserves better. Wow, my game is actually sort of a mod for a flat screen game, so that's why I'm technically in the honorable mentions category. Anyways, the game that I've decided to pick is Outer Worlds. Released in mid-2020, Outer Worlds is a space exploration game. This isn't like other space exploration titles, however. The solar system you explore is actually relatively quite small. You're able to walk all the way around planets in only a minute or so. I don't want to spoil too much, but you will quickly realize, once you leave the starting town, not everything in this adventure of yours is as it seems. With rumours of monsters lurking on other planets, and previous astronauts going missing, to uncover the mystery, you will adventure to different planets, using your gear to translate text, read radio frequencies, and send a little drone into places you fear may be too treacherous to go into. By the time you're deep into the solar system, you forget that you're even playing the VR mod. The developer that created this has made other VR conversion mods too, but for me, Outer Worlds just stands out. It feels like a native port, full 6 degrees of freedom, moving your hands around freely, grabbing objects connected to your character, pressing buttons in the spaceship. Everything just feels so well made. You can even click the side of your head to activate a torch. It's so immersive, and it really goes to show you that when a game gives modders full access to the modding tools, modders will create great things. Anyways, yeah, thanks to Gloopy Loopy for allowing me to have my segment, and thanks to everyone else for participating. Bye.
Congratulations, you have made it to the end of the video. First of all, I want to say thank you to every single one of you for watching till the end of the video. This is the first video I've ever made like this, so I'm really glad that y'all liked it enough to watch it. Second, I would like to thank each and every single creator featured in the video. Like I said, this is the first video I've ever made like this, and I probably could have directed them better, but they still came through and made the video happen. So once again, thank you all for watching. This is Gloopy, signing off.